Who let the dogs out? 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 Who let the dogs out?
Hey everyone, it's Pup Twigs here, Orlando, Florida, and joining me in person, another one from Jacksonville, Florida, is Pup Aros. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you got to come and do in person. I don't get these very often. Most of mine are
Mm,
done in different states, different countries, and everything else. So it's always
nice.
good to have in
Yeah,
person. So the first thing
absolutely.
I'd like to find out is about history of names and hoods. So,
hmm
so what is the history behind the name Pup Aros?
so it's actually a pretty interesting story. I was kind of early on in experimenting with pup play, and I met a guy online. It was a long distance situation. He gave me a pup name, Aros, A-R-O-S. And then things did not work out like within a week. And then 2 years later, when I actually decided to like really full send into pup play, I was like,
Mhm.
I have this name. I'll just use it. And it's
The,
a good name. It's
sure.
it's 2 syllables. It's relatively unique, even though there's about six other arrows out there. Um, but yeah, I've just never come up with anything better myself.
Hey,
So, and I've workshopped stuff. It's just I've never come up with anything
well,
better.
it
So,
works.
yeah, it doesn't have to be deep or perfect or meaningful,
No,
but
not at all.
everybody knows me by that now. It's too much of a branding hassle, rebranding hassle to
Yeah.
do that. So,
Well, I also like to find out a history of how you choose
mhm,
pup hoods. So
mhm,
I know you got blue and white and orange and black in
mhm.
it. Is there any kind of symbolism between all the colors?
Um, Partially yes. I'm originally from Virginia, and I actually I went to a Christian university, a very conservative Christian university, and my school of choice was actually the University of Virginia, and so that always represented like if I had only, and so I don't know, blue and orange, I like how they go together,
Yeah.
but also it's this representation of I'm not going to wait to like go after my dreams. I'm not going to let somebody else tell me, hey, you can do this now. I'm just going to do it.
Hey,
So,
that
yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
So I always like to also find out how long have you been a pup? How long have you been in the community?
I got my first hood in January 2020. And it was just a gray, like a traditional, I think it's the Mr. S hood that came before the K9 hood. So it was like the
Yeah.
first neoprene hood. Um, I've been kinky as long as I can remember, pretty much. I mean,
Okay.
just from a very early age, just gravitating towards, like the cowboy movies where they get tied up
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it was like an inexplicable draw towards specific materials and
hmm
specific kinds of things. And then I didn't know that there was even a community of people who were like that. And so for years and years and years, I thought I was the only person in the world like that. And then, of course, as everybody does on the internet, probably 17 or 18, I learned about pups, and I was
Yes.
like, oh, I like that. It's this confluence of kink, it's a and of material and of headspace and
Yeah.
of this, submission dominance
hmm
dynamic. And all of those things coming together in something that is really about self-expression, and play and enjoyment and hedonism. I just was really drawn to that.
And
So
that's what a lot of us are drawn to it is because of that.
oh yeah.
So 5 years in
Mhm.
the pup community, what have you found has been the easiest part of being in this community?
That is a great question. The easiest part has probably been um, that's a great question. I'm a little bit stumped. Um, the easiest part and also the hardest part has been this journey of like becoming myself.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it's the easiest thing is um being a pup has been this space for me to self-express in a way that's like separate
Mm-hmm.
from my other persona, my work persona, my persona under the hood. Um, it's been almost like a shortcut to beginning to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It
Yeah,
really
it's
does. And
like
that,
that's been the easiest. That's honestly been the easiest thing. And then uh yeah, well, definitely I mean uh, definitely a lot of challenges. I would say making friends is easy, but keeping them is hard.
okay. Yeah.
Um and like meeting people can be easy, but once again, like maintaining relationships can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the thing that is probably the easiest is just how easy it is to lean into self-expression. Um, there's the fear of being cringeworthy or of doing something wrong or of doing something that people aren't going to like. But when you break through that fear of, what other people are going to say, either in the community or out of the community,
Yeah.
then that being yourself, that self-expression becomes a lot easier.
Okay.
So,
Well, you've been in a quite a long time, a little bit longer than me, but when you think about new people coming into it, what kind of advice would you give someone new just starting into pup play?
be yourself. And I know that's like a really Hallmark card statement.
Yeah.
And it can be really frustrating to people sometimes, because it's just two words and there's not any instructions. But expanding on that, if you find yourself continuously doing something that you don't necessarily want to do in order to gain either fulfillment of desire or status or follower count or
Mm-hmm.
experiences, you're going to find yourself in a really unhappy place because you're not being yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you choose the colors that you like, if you choose, the people that you vibe with, that you connect with, not just people that you see through a screen and are like, oh, I wanna, you know, like I want this person in my life because of some nebulous connection to popularity or desire fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow your heart, if you pursue the connections that are mutual and are strong from the start, then you're going to find yourself in a lot stronger community, a lot stronger friendships, and you're going to find yourself feeling a lot more fulfilled.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and just people who are starting out, it can be really overwhelming to see, we all kind of have this online presence. That's a big part of the pup community.
Oh, yeah.
And when you scroll through people's sort of dossiers of all their experiences, all the events they've been to, all the gear they have, all the stuff they've done. I mean, 6 years ago, I was a faceless profile on Twitter that only
Yeah.
reposted stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with time. You have more time than you think you do. There's no exam at the end. We're all like, yeah, it's. I think letting the time pass and letting the things happen without trying to, I don't know, making the most of every moment is a nice idea, but it can make you really stressed out and anxious that you're
Yeah.
not making the most of it. And so slowing down, letting things happen as they happen,
Mm-hmm.
taking the time to form really strong friendships, really strong relationships,
Yeah.
taking the time to like invest in your local community, with your time, either, with your time at local events or with your money at local events even. It just the time will pass anyways.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice
All
is
right.
is calm down a little.
No,
Yeah.
you know, 5 years is a long time in this. What
hmm
what was the curiosity when you saw this
hmm
5 years ago that wanted to be a part of it?
Partially the anonymity and going back to earlier what I said about the ease of, you know, this kind of being a shortcut to loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
I, was at one point in my life, I didn't like my face, I didn't like my body. I believed that if I thought anything good about myself, that I was going to be cosmically punished for it, like
Mm-hmm.
pride coming before the fall, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And weirdly enough, putting on a hood, feeling that anonymity, looking in the mirror and seeing this, this other being that I've had a hand in creating, looking back at me, and I'm like, oh wait, I actually like that.
Yeah.
And then, it starts spilling over into when you take the hood off, and then and it starts changing the way that you carry yourself. And so that initial act of like taking part in the creation of myself is
Yeah.
really what like drew me to this. Um, and then also just the headspace component of it. Being a dog is fun,
Yeah.
Like everybody loves dogs. Everybody likes petting dogs and giving head scritches and belly rubs. And that headspace of like letting go of all of the human shit in my life and just, being on all fours and only speaking in barks and following orders is just so easy. And it's also
Yeah.
like a really fun and safe environment to do that
Hmm.
because, you know, I feel like a lot of people have those submissive tendencies, and it can lead down a different path. Um, and you know, I feel like this is a safer, more enjoyable way
Yeah.
of doing
Well,
that.
and it gives us a chance to stop adulting for a little while.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't have to think about taxes, at least right now.
Yeah.
I can do that later.
Yeah. Well,
So,
for you, if money were no object and you would be able to go anywhere in the world that you could travel to, what would be the top of your list?
I love this question. There are a number of like fetish and kink events around the world that I would love to go to. Probably first is Manchester Rubber Weekend in the UK.
Okay. Yeah.
Love to do that. Obviously Folsom in Berlin. And
Yes.
then there's also this like water fight festival in Bangkok called Songkran. And I've seen
Ooh.
a lot of like members of the latex community there showing up in full rubber and just being there along with the rest of the community who are not wearing rubber. And I love seeing that, like, not only is this a space where people can express themselves fully, they can express themselves fully within their wider community without having to have a safe space. I love
Yeah.
safe spaces, but it's a step along the way towards broader social acceptance. And so seeing somebody in full rubber and a pup hood with a water gun, and everybody else has a water gun at this festival, and they're there for this festival is like really appealing to me. It's really like heartwarming, and it looks really, really fun. Um, and so yeah, those are probably like the three overseas things that would be at the top of my
That's
list.
awesome. I
Yeah.
love hearing what everyone likes to do.
Oh yeah.
I do find that Folsom in Berlin is at the top of the list
Oh
for a
yeah.
lot of people.
Very much. Yes.
So what does the pup community look like in Jacksonville?
It is, I would say, just from my perspective, I've only been in Jacksonville for a year.
Okay.
I would say we're struggling for a space.
Okay.
Um, we don't have, and I mean, this goes more broadly back to Jacksonville's laws about bars. For a really long time, Jacksonville had municipal codes that forbade bars from being built or open anywhere near a church. So a lot of our oldest bars are on the beach, and there's not really any like gay bars there.
Yeah.
There is Park Place, which is sort of like my sort of home gay bar.
Hmm.
They don't necessarily have a fetish specific night or a kink night or a gear night or anything like that. It's more broadly just for the gay community. And there's Hardwick's, which is great, which is a great establishment. It's relatively new. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful bar. And they do have, they have beef night and gear night. And so I'll go to that. But for the most part, I just don't necessarily see um the volume that I see here in Orlando of
Yeah.
people consistently going out to events. And I'd love to see that change, but I don't know how to make that happen. And so I sort of just focus on my friends in Jacksonville, and I focus on my smaller circle
Hmm. Hmm.
instead of trying to make that broader change, which I know I should be doing, but
And it might get there, but
it's hard to without like having a foothold because
yeah.
I'm new,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I would feel a lot more comfortable doing that where I came from in Virginia, but it's kind of hard to be this new person that comes in and starts telling everybody what to do.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if others wanted to reach out to you, how's the best way for them to get in touch?
Honestly, the best way is going to be Instagram.
Okay.
Rubber Dog Aros, Aros. is my handle. Otherwise, I've pretty much scaled back a lot of my social media presence. I also have a Blue Sky, which is the same handle. Um,
Is it all one word? Okay.
yeah, yeah, all one word, no caps. And yeah, those are kind of the best way to reach out to me and get in contact with me. And yeah, if y'all have any questions about anything I've said here or something to add, that's the best way
Uh,
to
uh,
message me.
well,
So.
you get last words.
Oh, last words. Oh gosh, now I can't think of any words. Open-ended questions. I don't know. I think if there's anything that I have to say, it's build a life worth fighting for. I know the world is really, really scary right now.
Hmm.
We are seeing a rise in authoritarian governments around the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
that want to stop self-expression that isn't pre-approved. And this is exactly that. And so I'm
Mhm.
afraid every single day that the way that I express myself is one day not going to be allowed, that someday I'm not going to be able to go to a local bar event. That's
Yeah.
the reason why I go to MIR, I go to MAL, I go to local events, because um, we're really, really lucky to have the freedoms that people before us have fought for. And if we don't continue fighting for those freedoms with our votes, with our bodies, with our presence, with our, grit and effort, then it is at risk of being taken away.
Yeah.
And so knowing all that, it's really easy to fall into this pit of despair and being like, oh my God, it's all going to go away. But build a life worth fighting for. Because if you're
Yeah.
constantly miserable, if you're constantly afraid, what do you have to fight for? So go out and dance, and during the day, fight, but during the night, get on the dance floor.
You get out and have fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Pup Aros, it was awesome having you here. I know it won't be the last time we get to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Bark,
bye.
bark, 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 bark.